How's it going? Alright, so we got a YouTube video today. We got a question. I was supposed to answer this in the live stream from Friday, but the person left the stream, so I didn't answer it. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and fucking do the question here. So, hey, this isn't even that hard of a question, actually. I was scared I was about to, like, read this, and it was going to be, like, last week's question where I'd have to, like, think it over and, like, see, like, well, shit, how should we approach this? But no, this is pretty simple. So you got a question. So, person says, so if I'm someone who hurts people a lot, what do I do to stop, and how do I start? So if you're someone that hurts people, okay. So, first off, I mean, I don't have too much detail on this, so this is gonna be a little long just because there's gonna be such a broad range of things to try and cover in order to help you out here, alright? So, you're someone who hurts a lot of people, you hurt people a lot, and you want to stop it. So how do I start? So, very simple. I'm going to give you a simple practice. You really need to start recognizing this. You know, like, obviously it doesn't seem like you're intentionally doing it. Maybe you're intentionally doing it. Maybe it's an accidental thing. You just happen to say things and people are affected by it or something. I don't really know. Whatever the case may be. But obviously, whatever behavior that is, you gotta put it in its place, and you got to adopt a new way of approaching how you're gonna talk to people, and in what situations, how you're gonna provide. Now, you don't want to overthink this. Which is why I'm gonna give you a couple cues that will help you in not hurting people so much when you just blab your mouth or do whatever it is. If you're hurting people, it's because if you end up hurting somebody, it's because you're not taking them on as a part of yourself. You're not connected to them. Even if you care and you're so good with them, you may be on that level, but if you're hurting people, or even if these are people that you don't fuck with at all and you just hurt them, right? What you need to start recognizing is how to deploy empathy for people, right? Because the exact opposite, the way you hurt somebody is to disconnect them from yourself, is to treat them as somebody who is not actively a part of you, and then you can pretty much go to town on them, wreck them like nothing, you know? So, I mean, it's things like soldiers and even people I know that have personally told themselves things like this that would allow them to go through with hurting people, you know? So, that's the first thing. You got to determine where your root of hurting people is coming from. You know, is this just some unintentional authenticity that you have? Or are you just naturally an asshole? I mean, it could be very much the case. Do you just have a naturally big ego? You know, or is this you? Whatever it is, you need to start deploying empathy and kindness. And it's not a button you switch on. This is something you got to practice day in and day out. You are going to suck at this at first, probably. Or you might have a natural talent for it. Who knows? But what I'm going to advise you to do is start deploying empathy. And start with the people closest to you in your life, right? Start with the people, you know, the people that you, like your family or your closest friends, your best friends, whoever those people are. Oh my gosh, my stomach hurts. Hold on. Wow, today is a rough day with fasting. Shit. This might be the first time I've actually felt like my stomach somewhat be hungry a bit in a long time. Because normally when I fast, I don't get hungry. I just want to eat. I just want to sink my teeth into something and salivate. You know what I mean? I just want to taste something, but I don't want to. I'm not really hungry. This is the first time I'm feeling hungry in a while. Anyways. What I'm going to advise is deploy empathy, right? Notice the way, so deploy empathy, and how you're going to do is you're going to, anytime your friends are in a particular situation, whether they tell you or not, or even just something you could do on your own right now, imagine one of your friends, right? Imagine one of your friends is walking down the street, like literally shift, like go into their perspective, and just imagine them walking down the street, and all of a sudden the car pulls up. And then, like, I mean, it speeds, it hits the brakes, stops, 3 people come out, one of them's got a bat, and I mean, they go to town on that person. I mean, they beat them, you know? And you get the call. You get the call from that person. It says, look, dude, I just got completely fucking whacked and destroyed. And you don't even have to you don't even have to bring it to yourself. Just imagine how that person feels in that situation. Just literally shift it. If you were that person, you know, what would be going through your body? How would you be feeling at that moment? Every hit, you know? What is being experienced when you put yourself in that situation? Practicing that is going to allow you to develop a lot more of an empath-like ability, which is attunement. That's what I just showed you, which I actually learned from Teal Swan, so I do want to credit her on that for being awesome enough to show us that. I'm teaching you to deploy attunement. I'm teaching you to leave your perspective behind for a bit and actually shift into that person. Because what's going to happen naturally is if you're able to form connections strong enough to attune to people, that's when you start considering other people's feelings. You don't start considering other people's feelings because people tell you to. You don't start considering other people's feelings because it's something you should do. You consider other people's feelings when they are close enough to you that you physically or emotionally could not do something to them or have something happen to them without yourself being affected in the process. You see what I mean by that? That is the type of connection you have to develop with these people. And if you have empath-like ability, and if you train yourself to deploy that empathy and kindness, to recognize people. Now, I don't mean to the point, like, if this is the case where you're just, like, short-term hurting people's feelings because you're just brutally fucking honest, we'll get to that. But, you know, if you're just a fucking asshole and you have a tendency to hurt people, like you say, you need to seriously start deploying some empathy and start practicing that, developing connections with people, and then, so once you've developed that sort of ability, you'll really find that you can't hurt people as much as you would have liked to before. You don't take revenge on people like that. You don't fucking have these tendencies to hurt. Now, of course, even in an accidental sense, you won't do it. Why? Because it'll be like you hurting yourself. Because when you form connection with somebody, and it merges the both of you together, both people are affected by the ends of the spectrum. So develop that. Okay? So the first thing is connection. Second thing, if you're just someone who's really blunt, or if you're just somebody who speaks truth, whatever, right? Or like I said, if you unintentionally hurt people, you need to work on connection. But also, this is something else I'm going to give you too. So I want you to apply both of these tools. The other thing I want to give you is is asking whether, okay, so when you're about to say something, I don't have a problem with you hurting people's feelings in the short term if it's honest, right? So for example, let's say you and me are having a conversation. I show you a film. I show you one of my new films. I made a new film. It's coming out. I showed you it. And you're like, dude, your performance was whack. I thought that was shit. Now, that's going to hurt me. That's going to hurt my feelings a lot, right? Now, if you did that out of just being an asshole, right? You just said it because you didn't give a fuck about the film. You only care. This dude doesn't matter. I mean, like, I don't care how he feels, right? It's because you're disconnected from me. Now, even if you were connected to me, you still would have said it. You just would have said it from a different place. You feel what I mean? Because while it would have hurt you a bit to have told me that the film sucked, right? Because you would have saw how that impacted me, and how that impacts me impacts you. What happens is that you recognize the macro of the situation. You recognize, yeah, he'll hurt for a bit now, but that's what he needs to hear if he's going to step up and stop making shit films like this. You see where I'm coming from now? That came from an attitude of love. That came from an attitude of, hey, it hurts you now, but that was what needed to be said in order for you to wake the fuck up. And you know that, and that was the truth, and that hurt you. But that was what had to be said. So if that's the case, you're just scared of hurting people in the short term, don't be. As long as you're coming from a place of love, which comes from connection. So that's where you need to start. You need to start working on empathy. You need to start working on deploying a very powerful empathy for people and connection as well. And then when you're about to, I don't know if it's like uncontrollable outbursts you're having where you're just like, "That is fucking stupid," just because, you know, you just say it and you don't really have control over it, then there might be some sort of neurotic thing going on, maybe, potentially. I don't know. I'm not that expertise in neurotic patterns and whatnot, so keep in mind. But there's some sort of impulsive click that isn't put in its place. Because, see, there's things that, there's suppression, yes, but there's also where you just have to put certain things into place. You know what I mean? If we cry 24/7, you know, something's up. You got to check that. So you have to put things in their place. So that's where I would start. Ask yourself for these people when you're talking to them, you know, is this something they need to hear? You know, does this affect them positively in the long term, right? Or not, you know? And you ask yourself this: why do I want to tell this person this? Am I doing it out of kindness? Am I doing it from a place of love? Or am I doing it from a place of just being a brutal fuck because I just don't care, because they just need to hear it, right? Are you coming from a place of love, or are you coming from a place of just not giving a fuck because you can? Right? That's where you have to really determine. And deploy that empathy while you're there. How would that person respond? Right? This isn't something you actually think. This is something, like I said, you mechanically engage this, yes, through the thought, but you also feel it as well. You feel how that person feels. You experience, maybe not in an extreme degree, obviously, but you know, like, okay, this is how this could go. It could, you know. So start deploying empathy and then start asking yourself something. Is this something that comes from a place of love and will help this person? Or am I just being an asshole who wants to say things because I have that right? You know? So hopefully that is the type of hurting you're talking about. How much time do I have left? So yeah, this was a bit of a long video. So now that's if you're just emotionally hurting people, right? Dude, and I'm talking about through word spectrums. Now let's just say you're somebody who physically fucking hurts people. You hurt people. You slap people in the face. You kick them around. You dump them up. Again, physical, mental, or emotional pain. Whatever it is you are doing, deploy that tactic. Learn to have some fucking empathy, right? Start to deploy that shit. Start to connect with the feelings of others. And then before you're about to do something, so you're going to have to practice a bit of suppression. That's fine. You're going to have to learn to be able to put a halt on things before they come up, especially if it's an impulsive thing. And you're going to have to learn on discharging that later, because if you don't discharge that, then we have a whole new fucking problem that we don't want to get into, right? So you're going to have to use bioenergetics to discharge that, or discharging it on your own time, or you can just scream into a fucking pillow about that shit, or talk to yourself, whatever the fuck you do. You feel what I'm saying? So you're going to have to figure out how to put a halt on that and control that impulse if it's coming up to harm them in any sort of manner in those three areas, right? Deploy that empathy, and then as you develop that empathy, you'll be able to ask those questions. Is this out of love? Or is this out of just me being a brutal fucking asshole? Is this out of me helping them for the long term? Or am I just being a dumbass? Or I just don't give a fuck, so I'm just gonna say whatever. I'm just gonna say this because I don't care. Come from a place of caring and empathy. That will help you. Alright, so that's where you start. DM me, we'll talk more about it, and then we can get into that. And even we could talk about this Monday in the live stream, since you're seeing it today. And tomorrow we have the live stream at 8, which if you guys on my YouTube aren't following my Instagram, you so should. If you have questions that you want to get answered on a live stream, dude, come out on Mondays and Fridays, 8 o'clock p.m. Catch the streams. That's where it's at. Y'all missing out if y'all ain't showing up. They do get really good some nights, man. So y'all be sure to go check that out. Instagram will be in the description. And yeah, that's it. That's my video to you. Hopefully that helps. Talk to you next time.